Welcome to the Dungeon Crawlers Podcast, casting light on the depths of online multiplayer gaming. I'm your host, Aggelos, and with me this afternoon, or this evening, or whatever time it is, I kind of lost track. It's just crazy here. Sorry. Internet wordsmith over at MMOgames.com, MMORPG.com, GameSpace.com, and Tamriel Foundry, who dabbles in Twitch and YouTube, everything in one place, AaronPenman.com. Wow. I'm really seeing how fast I can
we really are going to shorten that soon, yeah, especially after the next Foundry site gets going. It's just going to have to happen. Anyway, happy to be here for some post E3 Snark Week, and I'm ready in my obligatory graphic tee and blazer. We're professionals.
I don't have a blazer, unfortunately.
So for those of you playing the game, you have to take a shot now. I know you weren't expecting it, but go to your kitchen and find a shot.
Done. Great. Next up, we've got Broden back, the cynical asshole himself. How you doing, buddy?
I'm ready to talk about Bethesda.
Well, shouldn't we just not talk about it? Because that's pretty much the effort they put into their presentation this week.
Oh, that means I get to talk about it. Because I'm the cynical asshole. It's going to be fun.
And also joining us as our guest tonight, you may have known him from Tales of Tamriel, my co-host over there, Arkhaniir himself. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Although I didn't prepare at all. But I guess we don't need to be prepared for this one.
No.
Lots to make fun of.
You prepared more than some of the other hosts here because you actually watched E3 with me.
This is actually very true.
I just watched the Twitter snark, so I'm prepared to talk about creator caves and the fact that Bethesda apparently didn't present anything.
Yeah, I read a lot of reviews.
All for digital.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so before we get into the E3 that was 2017 and just the mess, we got a few other things we're going to cover first. First off, we've got the Secret World Legends that Asari hinted at last week that he got a chance to get a hands-on with the developers there. And since he couldn't talk about it last week, he's going to do so now.
Yes, so there was no embargo on this, but we recorded our last podcast the day before I was able to get in there and actually try the game out. So I do have to correct you now that I'm finally saying it right. This one is actually Secret World Legends. They have distressingly and inexplicably dropped the from the game with the relaunch. I'm not really sure what the rationale was there besides just confusing everybody. Yeah, I know. It is. They are not staying true to the original. This is a slap in the face to fans.
Yeah, the was the breaking point for me. That was it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I got my hands on with it. So there's a couple big changes they've really made to the game that we mostly already know about. Combat has been changed to be an action combat system, sort of like ESO. They did have an aimed combat system in the game originally, but it was just terrible. And this one actually feels really good. I was pleasantly surprised. You can tell that they put a good amount of work into actually making this feel like a real action MMO. So I liked that. Another complaint was that most of the weapons played pretty similarly with sort of like a build and spend resource cycle. And those mechanics still exist, but they basically gone in and just added a new weapon specific mechanic onto each of those. My favorite is probably the assault rifle, where actually I've got it right here. Some abilities have a chance to load a grenade into like your noob tube, and they last 6 seconds. After 3 seconds, they'll deal bonus damage, and if you let it hit 0, it'll blow you up. So each weapon has something like that. Some of them are more simple than the others. One of them that I think is cool is elementalists have kind of a classic like keep your heat or temperature bar in the middle type mechanic, where you get too high, you overheat, you get too low, you're not like utilizing your abilities to their full potential, with a mix between sort of lightning and fire building it up and cold bringing it down. And that one's kind of cool because your spell effects change as you fill the bar up. I don't know, just little things that make every weapon, I guess it's their equivalent to classes. You can have any 2 active at a time, so you have 2 of these weird mechanics going. Just makes them feel a little bit different, which I think are good changes. I think veterans of the Secret World will be a little bit skeptical of some of them. One of the things that was really big in the game before was you could pull talent trees or passive talents from any weapons, and you could only get your active from the 2 weapons you had equipped, but any passive from anywhere would go into your build. And that doesn't work that way anymore because a lot of the weapon passives tie into the new weapon abilities or weapon-specific mechanics. That's the phrase I'm looking for. So passives in general have been made specific to your weapon set. I think a lot of people are going to be kind of skeptical about that. They're going to be like, they're dumbing the game down. And there might be some of that. A lot of these changes are aimed at accessibility. They're definitely adding mechanics like levels instead of being levelless to sort of add a passive power gain that's not as dependent on knowing how to create a build correctly. and a lot of actually passives along the way in the skill line that are always active and are just flat boost essentially. So they're definitely trying to make it easier for dumb people, which is fine. But with regards to slotted passive specifically having to be a part of your active weapon skill set, I'm not really worried by that. I think I think this is gonna lead to a situation where you have less potential builds, but because of the nature of these games, there's probably going to be more viable builds. Because before there were certain passives that just every build had. Like if you were a DPS build, you had these like 4 out of your 6 talents were decided before you even walked out, and started thinking about the rest of your build. So I think they're mostly good changes. Let me see if there's anything else that's been changed. I mean, there's a lot. I don't need to go through it all. They're trying to make it a little bit easier, a little bit harder to screw up your build. Mm-hmm. It's completely free to play now, and all of the story and all of future story updates will be free. And that's the main reason to play the game. And because of that, they've sort of reimagined it not as an MMO, but as what they're calling a shared world RPG. And normally I'm not a big fan of that type of change. Like as MMO started moving more to a Destiny/The Division-like model, that was not something I was behind. But for the Secret World, which was a game that I've always played like a single-player game, and that really shines that way, it's a game where, you're in these sort of small, population 800 northeastern town in like Maine or something that's under assault by Lovecraftian monsters, or you're in the Egyptian desert, or you're in Transylvania. Like none of these settings really benefited from having hundreds of other players running around. So they've still got the really good group content. RPers, like all the RP hubs, still have high instance caps and things like that. So the social side of the game will still be there, but I think this is the game that maybe shouldn't have been an MMO to begin with, and I'm kind of glad they're moving in that direction. But yeah, I like what I saw. I guess the other big question is, will this be the big breath of life the game needs to sort of kick it back into gear?
Will it be the next WoW killer?
No, it's not trying to do that. But I mean, will it thrive? And I don't know. It's a pretty old game at this point, unfortunately, and it's still dated even as a relaunch title. It's not like they've changed the engine, or it looks a little bit better, but there haven't been massive overhauls. I think it's a game that people should play, especially if the quests are some of the best that are out there. We've talked about this before in terms of actually making you think. That's all still there. The setting is fantastic, but is this going to be enough to where people are going to go in and have a completely different experience? I'm not sure. I'm inclined to say no, but then again, like ESO made some minor changes, and everybody was like, "Oh, I played this for 5 minutes at launch, and now it's amazing." And I'm like, all they added was level scaling. Yeah. So I have no idea. Maybe people will get in and love it, and that's kind of what I hope happens, because this has always been sort of I call it a cult classic in terms of MMOs, where it's got a small but super dedicated following. It is a really good game. And if it's up your alley, I mean, there's no reason not to give it a shot. Now that it's free to play and all the story is free, there's no reason not to go check it out. So I would go check it out, and I hope people will.
Yeah. It's actually funny when you mention it, like the Destiny and stuff. The first thing it reminded me of, that shared world, is the original Guild Wars, where the fact that all the hubs were, you can see people everywhere, but as soon as you exited the hub and started your mission, if you weren't already in a party, it was just you. You had to form your party while in the hub, or else it was you, and that was it.
It's actually not quite that steep, by the way. There are other people you'll run into if you're not grouped, but the instance cap has been dramatically reduced. I actually asked him for numbers during the tour, and it was something like 10. Yeah. So And I think that fits the setting well. So I'm not complaining about it. It's not a game where I think you really want to be playing around tons of players. So it works. I
Wouldn't
think
it be secret otherwise?
yeah.
It's the secret world that everyone seems to know about. So
Yeah. I think it's one that's worth your time just for the experience. But yeah, I wrote up my full impressions over at MMOgames.com. And I was apparently the only person who went to this who thought to do this. It's because we're a bunch of writers, but I did record the entire walkthrough and just shamelessly put it on YouTube. They knew I was doing it. But I was the only guy that did that. So if you want to go see like a full 2-hour presentation, if you were someone who played the original with the game director kind of going over the changes, their thought processes, and seeing some hands-on, we go do a quest, we do part of a dungeon, and then we check out the new revised Agartha, which is the main hub of the game. Yeah, go check it out.
nice. Final Fantasy XIV brings some new world population balancing incentives to its game. Dank bonuses for creating new characters on new servers. 2x the experience, silver chocobo feathers, 1,000,000 gil, 15 days of free playtime. Now, sorry,
I do not apologize for putting that in the notes.
You should be sorry.
I wouldn't be.
Dank bonuses.
now-
Super dank.
Question, they're giving you 1,000,000 gil for...
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. Is there any concern about gold sellers with that? I mean, what other game was it that did that? I'm trying to remember, and I can't remember what it was, but whatever
Okay,
game...
if you want to address that real fast, if you go to one of the websites, I've checked it out just because I was curious kind of deal.
Mhm.
1,000,000 gil is like $10, if even. It's not a huge amount in the like huge overlaying end game of it all.
Yeah,
$1
well,
million's not a whole lot.
I know at the time of where we're at now, like, the people who've been playing since 1.0 have trillions of gil at this point, but...
And I'm also fairly certain it's not going to be a continual bonus. Like, you make one character get 1,000,000, make another character get 1,000,000, make another character. Like, it's just a first time only kind of deal.
Right. Now, do you know if this is actually going to be something for, like... Because I know they have their free trials at times or whatever the case may be. I wonder if that counts for there, because then it would just be just keep making new accounts. Or if this is already for existing.
Free trial has a cap on how much gil you can have.
Okay.
I also imagine that this is just for, a couple weeks while they're launching the expansion.
They're
I'm also
encouraging
sure
people
it's,
to move towards lower servers.
One time account, first account make only kind of deal.
Yeah.
But it is pretty cool incentives to get people playing on the new servers. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you're thinking about
I
going
mean,
back
most
to the game,
games do, what, you're going to not just play your level character that you have already?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem with Final Fantasy XIV right now, and I know Broden, there's a lot of servers that are so insanely full, and people won't move off of them. But then all the rest of them, there's not a balance. There's a lot of low servers, and then there's ones where, regardless of the fact that there's all these servers that are like, hey, you can make stuff on. No, we're gonna hang out here on like this one server, and like I don't care if I have to wait in a queue for 4 hours. That's what I'll do.
Well, your queue time isn't going to depend on the server. Your queue time is going to be the same no matter what, because it's all data center based. I mean, I'm on a medium population server, so.
Yeah. So,
but things like Balmung and stuff are
Excalibur's another one that's like
ridiculous. Excalibur's pretty massive.
Yeah. New bonuses for
but
transfer.
those are legacy servers, so I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's all the legacy servers that people were not moving off of because they already had their characters from 1.0, who then are remaining on those servers. Then when all the new people came on, I'm going to sign in there.
I'm fairly certain a lot of people might jump some ships since it's free transfer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll just have to see.
So of course there's a slightly lesser dank bonuses for transferring to new servers if not creating new characters but actually transferring something you've already leveled. The free transfer, they've increased the max skill cap that you can carry over. Broden, since you're the one who actively plays, what is it? It's like 5 million on your character and what 5 million
actively on right now it is 1 million gil or 3 million gil.
Okay, so it's $1 million on you, and then like on each retainer or something like that. I knew there was something along those lines that you could do.
It's 3 million gil on you. No, it's 1 million gil. Yeah, on you that you can transfer. So
Okay, so they're going to increase that. They'll give you 10 gold chocobo feathers. That's their new player, not new player, inviting new player currency. Yeah, refer a friend to buy stuff, and reimbursements for any housing that you would have had on other servers. So that's actually kind of neat as well. Similar bonuses are being applied to the current slew of low pop servers as well. Sorry, I know you had put that in here other than it being interesting. If you had anything you wanted to say on that, or Arkhaniir.
Yeah, I mostly just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is interesting in terms of...
I think it's a good idea. Because if you look at other games who have tried to send us to get people to new servers that are, empty to lower their stress and stuff, like WoW, it's just like, you get a free character transfer. And that was it. Nobody did
it's definitely
they didn't
appealing
care about
to
it. It's like, whatever.
any people that listen who might be returning to the game.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a good game if you're weeb trash.
I mean, it's a good game
Not just in
mechanically
general.
speaking, no matter what.
Yeah.
but
Mostly.
especially if you're weeb trash. No, yes, and it's a good time.
Two people who have played it.
I know that's the problem.
It is the industry leader in cat girls. As
It's
far
why
as I'm
we
concerned.
know, Broden. It's why we know.
It's like calling the cat or the kettle black.
Definitely. And I mean, it's a good time to do it with the expansion coming up in like a week or 2 weeks, I think it is.
Early access starts Friday.
On Friday, yeah. So now's the time to do it. And the only other game that I knew offered bonuses like this was Dark Age of Camelot. They offered they didn't quite have a lot of like refer a friend stuff, but they actually made it so that if you went on a low population realm, you got all these massive bonuses for like AP gain experience. There was a lot of bonuses to try to encourage low population realms of getting higher.
So it's
people.
not enough of the refer a friend stuff, but one of the things that I think is really cool on there was the old T5 boss Twintanya is a mount through refer a friend, which is hilarious because that raid boss is a pain in the ass and I hate her, but you can ride her around.
Yeah, and she's 15 chocobo feathers, I think it is.
It's 30 or something.
Oh, is it 30? I thought it was 15. Anyway, yeah, but no, that's a good chunk of your way towards her if that's what you were after. Crowfall is adding geomancy and architecture. So, sorry, you kind of filled this in, so I'm going to let you talk about this.
Yeah. So they've added 2 new professions that I don't think are huge news. I just think they're kind of interesting in our continuing coverage of Crowfall.
Yep.
Geomancy is a way for players to craft the land parcels for the Eternal Kingdoms, which, if you don't know what those are, the Eternal Kingdoms, again, are sort of like their housing on crack system where you build an entire kingdom. And the land parcels are pretty much what they sound like, tracts of land that you can place and sort of Tetris together. I have a video on this as well, actually. And then you can place your buildings and all that on there once you're there. There's a lot of in-depth controls they say will be coming eventually in terms of choosing what spawns on there, whether or not combat's allowed, delegating building rights to other people within there. It should be pretty interesting. So yeah, you've got geomancy where players craft those. One interesting tidbit that will apply to the next profession as well is that the materials that you use to craft land parcels have to be named. Which is essentially you have trash tier resources like slag that you can gather anywhere, but also that's the only thing you can find in the Eternal Kingdoms is these trash tier, just tier 0 essentially resources, and then everything else is found in the campaign worlds. And you have to be using resources from the campaign worlds to build up both the land parcels and what I'm about to talk about, any of the structures in the Eternal Kingdom. So you can't just sit there in PvE land and sort of happily grind your way along. They're going to force you out into these somewhat dangerous worlds. And then architecture is the other one. They will craft deeds for buildings, crafting stations, city walls, decorations, and, quote, practically everything and anything else that sockets onto walls or buildings. And I had to bring this up because it said deed. And as you may or may not know, this sounds very Star Wars Galaxies-esque. Yep.
It's not a show if you don't mention it.
Yep, it's not. It's not. So yeah, I mean, this game continues to be. I want to keep hammering that point home because Crowfall looks really, really interesting, and if you look at it, just at first without really getting into it too much, you do come away with this takeaway, especially because they've been testing like combat and siege mechanics mostly up until very recently. You're like, oh, this is like a murder box, like a Darkfall game, and they're taking so many cues from the greatest non-PvP sandbox ever. Which was Star Wars Galaxies.
Gordon Walton, wasn't he like on the Star Wars Galaxies team?
They have several, big Galaxies people, but I just mean like people taking a very cursory look at this game who have never given it an in-depth look, have no idea that it's got Gordon Walton or Ref Coster, perhaps more importantly, as well as I think Thomas Blair may have been from Star Wars Galaxies. I could be wrong on that one.
Isn't he a little young for that?
I was going to say he may not have been.
Got a LinkedIn right now, so trying to figure out what's going on.
No, Thomas Blair was the lead designer of Star Wars Galaxies. Oh, but from 2007. So,
yeah,
he put it out to pasture. No,
so he's the one who took it out back and shot it in the head.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe not quite, but yeah, he had some time there with the project as well. So yeah, they have a lot of Star Wars Galaxies people. But again, for casual MMO watchers or not even casual, just people who looked at the game said, oh, it's something like Darkfall or Shadowbane. I think it's worth paying attention to for reasons that have nothing to do with PvP, and we keep starting to see the foundations of that coming. And normally we've seen so many MMOs say they're Star Wars Galaxies like, and normally I'm the first to shit on that because it's always wrong. Do you remember? God, I'm still mad about this. Do you remember John Smedley, who I actually kind of mostly like, even though he's super controversial.
Well, that's why
but
I like him.
When he came out and he's like, we've got a spiritual successor for our Star Wars Galaxies players where they can find home. And then it was H1 fucking Z1. He's like, yeah, you can play structures. And oh my God, that was, okay.
Yeah, anyway. I remember the H1Z1 issue because I know Massively OP they ripped on that very hard as well because it's like, a lot of the people in the Massively OP staff love Star Wars Galaxies, and then H1Z1.
If you like, Star Wars, obviously you're into zombies and post-apocalyptic and stuff. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's clearly a one-to-one comparison.
Absolutely,
it fits well.
Do you like logging off and having fun? It's fine. You go to sleep and someone will kill you in your sleep. It's the same thing.
Don't worry about it. The next Star Wars movie is all zombies. Just wait.
Rey's going to go to sleep. Someone's going to murder her in her sleep. It's the same thing as H1Z1. It's fine.
There is that book about the zombie stormtroopers that released at some point.
Let's not actually get derailed by this.
I'm bringing it back. I remember this because some people, our peers on my Star Wars Galaxy servers, actually were using like the prop system to create a zombie outbreak in their player city, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
Maybe that's what Smedley was talking about. Who knows?
I don't.
Maybe he meant those 20 people.
Those 20 people
were the ones who will
find
a new home.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, my main point was lots of games like to bandy about we're being like Star Wars Galaxies. And it's always been BS. This is the first time I've actually kind of said, hey, they're actually kind of doing this. So one to pay attention to.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hop right on to our E3 coverage, and Arkhaniir will finally be able to talk about something.
Yep.
We're going to have fun.
MMO part, I'm not interested.
All right. Yeah, no. First things up, we're going to talk about the Bethesda E3 conference, and I'm going to go ahead and let Ark take this, and then Broden can kind of hop in as needed. But we'll actually let Ark talk for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so Bethesda E3 conference was at 7 a.m. for me. And since it was Bethesda, I stayed awake. Because first, I love watching E3 conferences, and it was Bethesda. I mean, I know Elder Scrolls 6 weren't going to be there, but still, I was expecting something new, right? Because it's a press conference. I sat down, Pete Hines got up on stage, welcomed everyone, and then it was shit.
No, it was Bethesda Land. You said shit wrong.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's actually, I think, the first time I've ever heard Arkhaniir say that, and that probably sums it up perfectly for me. I just and then it was shit.
I don't know why they wasted everybody's time with that.
I don't know why they wasted the money on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I don't know why
know.
they even rented a stage just to show a video.
Exactly.
I guess all
Like,
those
Hey,
crown
welcome.
crates,
Look at this video.
all those
It
extra
wa- it-
crown
it-
crates and that money they got. There you go. Just spend it on Bethesda.
You could have just uploaded it on YouTube, and Pete Hines could have commented under it saying welcome.
Welcome to
would be
our
the
E3
same thing.
conference.
So yeah, there weren't anything new.
Yeah.
It was bad. It wasn't a press conference. It was just a video, and that Bethesda Land thing was so annoying. I don't know why. Who talked them into that? Like doing that child show weird thing, that creepy. I don't
No,
know.
it's,
Somebody in their
it's
PR
crazy and
department.
wacky. Crazy and wacky.
That PR department thought it was a good idea, and well, here we are.
So yeah.
Here we are.
Then again, obviously we got several different Skyrims.
Yeah.
Skyrim everything.
Just every presentation had Skyrim, basically.
I want
That's probably part of why Bethesda's was so underwhelming.
Yeah.
I want to cover this real fast because Ark knows what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Before Bethesda started, I made a joke that they were going to talk about Skyrim. Like re-release Skyrim. That was my joke. It's like, yeah, I can't wait. And then, everybody was like, oh no, I'm sure it's going to be fine. It's like, all right, last year was supposed to be good and it wasn't because it was just Skyrim again.
Right.
And then this one started. It's like, hey, Skyrim. We know you like Skyrim. So here's Skyrim card games for our card game. That's not enough Skyrim?
Skyrim
Here's
Dungeons
actually
MMO.
Skyrim again. Is that not enough Skyrim? Here's paid mods for Skyrim. It's like, are you serious?
Did you guys see the dislike bar on that creator studio or creator club thing that they put on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man.
They tried
300
paid
likes,
mods.
2,000
I'm shocked they're
dislikes.
doing it again.
Well, it is funny that, and I'm going to talk on this one as well, because I actually remember doing a show with Nate Langston on his show, Text Message, talking about when they first were bringing out this idea of paid mods originally, right? Like, I got brought on the show to talk about paid mods and how we think it's going to affect the industry. That was probably about 3 days before they decided to pull it from all the negative press. So now we're returning with a creation club, which all this is, it's essentially the exact same thing. It's Sam's Club of Skyrim mods, where now you just have to be a preferred modder to
Pay $5 for yellow
for
crab.
mods. Well, this actually brought up a really good question. The only way you're going to get into this is if you already create good mods, right? Like, that's what they want. They don't want none of the crap people in there. Is this going to actually lead to a point where all the good mods, like the people who are doing like the Skyrim script extender and to hide in this creation club, and the only people you're going to see creating other mods are the people who have no idea what they're doing or are trying to get into it, so we're going to have a lower quality. Anything that was actually good is now going to be locked behind this creation club? Is that what we're going to
It'll
see?
probably be like
Because
Steam Greenlight, where it's just the total disaster.
I'm also fairly certain, that Creation Club is not going to last a year, and is going to backlash and go away, just like paid mods did.
Also, let's
I mean,
be
the
honest,
first time they tried
aren't like 95% of Skyrim mods just nude packages anyway?
Yeah.
I can't see them
same
putting
rules
that
the
on the
internet.
creator club.
Yeah.
Well, like even then, the mods they were showing is like, we're going to turn this crab to a yellow crab. Oh my god, $5, and it's like,
Here's the thing, though. I mean, just like the first attempt the Bethesda made, the big modders already said, like, okay, our mods are not going to be paid. We are still going to keep them free. Like, I just saw Sky Oblivion's team say that they are going to keep their mods free, whatever happens. And that's the same for any other, like, proper modder out there. So the way I see it, we'll probably see bad modes on Creation Club while the proper modes still stay free.
yeah,
That's how
people who do it through donations and stuff like that aren't going to join that crap.
Well, that's because they legally probably can't at that point.
Well, even then, they know, like, PR wise, they know if they do, it's bad for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, Return of
I don't
Creation
think there'd be a
Club.
legal problem with donations. You can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want with those, to be honest.
Well,
No,
it's not
it's different if
necessarily true, because
if it's donations, then you're free to do whatever the fuck you want because it's donations. If it's
free...
Patreon support, different story.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it depends how it's done, but I still think at some point you could end up getting some sort of contract you have to sign on going that you're not going to receive any monetary bonus of any kind outside of Creation Club, because of course with the Creation Club, no, from like when you hit it, there's like, okay, you are now officially part of Creation Club. Any monetary gains must be earned through this Creation Club. Anything else, you're going out and above. And the reason why they do that is because the Creation Club, Bethesda takes a cut, probably like 50% or higher, I would imagine.
I don't know why they wanted to. Well, I mean, I know why, but I just wish they'd give up on paid mods. It's just...
Yeah, give up on paid mods and hire the people who do a good job.
So,
granted, these are the guys that brought us horse armor and basically invented, nonsense microtransactions.
So, Bethesda taught me a lesson to not joke, because jokes become real. That lesson was also learned shortly after, because I don't know if it was Ark or Sour, I'm sorry, but the joke was made that Skyrim VR was coming out on the Xbox 8, and it's just like the next press conference, Skyrim VR. It's like,
yeah, I said something like, I mean, if
Skyrim for Switch.
I hate VR, but if Skyrim was on it, I would probably, play it. I said something along those lines, and like a couple hours later, Sony announced Skyrim VR. So, yeah.
Sour says it was him in the chat.
Yeah, it was Sour. He was joking. It's like, oh, they're going to do Xbox on the Xbox 8. And
so I've got a question for you guys, by the way.
All right.
One of the most popular Skyrim mods is usually like the bug fix, because Bethesda can't be bothered to release a properly tested and polished game almost ever. Do we think that's going to be something that shows up in the Creator Club, where you're essentially paying for the bug fix that should have been in the base game?
Probably.
I don't think so.
Let's polish our pitchforks now.
I guess it all depends on the people who make the bug fixes and stuff, whether or not that's something they're going to do.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if the person who makes it is a part of the Creation Club, then yes, you have to pay for the bug fix.
And because at that point, once it's in there, you can't release it elsewhere.
I remember reading that the currently existing mods will be free whatsoever. So the currently existing unofficial Skyrim patches, which are the bug fixes, should be still free. Like the new mods, as far as I understood, at least, just the new mods on Creation Club will be paid or whatever.
Until
you can't like retroactively charge stuff for things that have been given out for free.
Mm-hmm. No,
sure you can. I mean, you can't charge
if they want
Bethesda,
to. Yeah,
not when Bethesda didn't make it.
Not for people who didn't already have it, but they could absolutely.
Well, even then, like Bethesda didn't make those mods. They can't retroactively go like, well, now you have to pay for these mods we had nothing to do with.
Yeah, unless they change some code in the API, just like one script of code, and therefore the official ones break.
As the resident business law guy, I mean, I'm inclined to say you could do that. I mean, you'd piss everybody off, but
I mean, they legally could. They shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of game companies do things they shouldn't. So let's
to be honest. By the way, I almost think Creator Club realistically is more for console people.
Yeah,
I was going to say that. Yeah,
who don't have a choice. Whereas
sure, but
us PC people will just be pirating this shit anyway. No.
I mean, you're not wrong there, but like at the same time, most of the Elder Scrolls community, I feel, are PC players. So,
well, actually, you'd be surprised looking at the sales.
Yeah, but those people are wrong.
Yeah, well,
wrong
could be. The last couple of things that we'll talk about, which don't really relate to what we do here at Dungeon Crawlers, but since it was part of the Bethesda conference, we got the Doom
Dark Week
virtual fucking reality VFR and Fallout 4 VFR and Skyrim VFR or VR.
No, it's just VR.
All right, so only Doom is VFR.
Can I just say how amazing it was? How much of E3, especially for something that's targeted at console players, which E3 very much is, focus on things that like nobody gives a shit about. VR and 4K. Nobody.
No
one
has,
even.
Okay.
No one has VR headsets. No one has 4K TVs. They aren't worth it.
I have to derail us to a degree because this.
No, go for
I know
it.
I know it's our next point, kind of, but this is just. When Microsoft announced their new system, it was like, it has 4K native support. Let's see what this monster can do. Minecraft 4K.
I remember that. I actually was watching for that part.
I actually saw that meme earlier, and it confused me at first, going, what is this? And then I saw I'm like, are you guys smoking crack?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Are you out there smoking crack with Devolver? What is this? This looks like parody.
Now you can look at your 4K in pixels. Your pixelated pixels in 4K.
You fucking having a laugh, Mike.
I actually just love how Broden did that. Let's see what this beast can do. Minecraft.
That's what they were. That's like their literal
happened.
things. That's like what they literally said. Like,
And they were- and they
verbatim,
prob-
like,
it was
let's
probably
see
like,
what this monster can do,
4K.
and then like
You'll
Minecraft
feel like
in
you're
4K,
there.
and it's just like
Listen to our community. 4K. Minecraft.
I feel like half of the Xbox One X.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna go just move. Xbox One X was announced. So, as I so lovingly named it, XX, Sephiroth, XX, Xbone One X, XXX, because they're just throwing as many X's as you can in there.
It's
so bad.
It's Xbox 0.5, Xbox 1.5. That's all it is.
Yep.
One of the things that so many people are like, oh no, it's the most powerful system now. It's like, yes, and it's also something developers don't give two shits about because they still have to develop for PS4, Xbox One, not even counting the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One S. They still have to develop for the lowest common denominator.
Yep.
Your fucking fancy hardware doesn't mean shit.
Which is unfortunately the original Xbox, which couldn't even touch the PS4. So
I do think Microsoft just in general doesn't know how to name things, and I've seen a lot of jokes that like the code names are better. I remember Spartan was a way better name than Edge, for example.
Well, I mean,
Nintendo
kind of suffers from the same thing, to be honest.
They
The
just changed
Wii was
their streaming
originally
service
called
to Mixer.
Revolution.
It's just terrible for SEO. Yeah, you're right, Nintendo though. It's true. But I mean, what I was thinking of that's funny is they have sort of their OS naming that doesn't make any sense and jumps around and skips and doesn't seem to have any consistency. And now they're doing the same thing with their consoles, where you have the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the Xbox One X.
At least the Xbox
It
One
sounds like a meme.
The Xbox One had a reason for it, though, because the reason why they did Xbox One was it was supposed to be your one-stop shop for home entertainment consoles, right? It was supposed to be everything. It was supposed to be your Blu-ray player, your game station, your whatever the heck else you did with it. But
and the 360 was because you can't have the Xbox 2 while PlayStation's on 3.
Yeah. So, and here's the funny thing of that whole thing, too, like with the Xbox One. It's going to suffer the same thing that the Wii U did. It's a terrible fucking name.
And,
half the people didn't even know the Wii U was, in fact, an entirely different system. They was like, oh, the Wii U's just a gamepad you buy for the Wii. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, how many people thought that. So Xbox One X is literally just another fucking Xbox One, sure, but it's still just the stupidest goddamn fucking name.
You could pick anything almost, and it would be better than that. Although I think the fact that they had to keep Xbox One in the name, which was already pretty stupid. I think that was kind of limiting.
The issue of it too is that it just sounds too similar to the Xbox One S. How many confused grandparents are going to buy an Xbox One S instead of the Xbox One X for their kids?
I forgot
my mother actually did that for my wife. She wanted one of the Just Dance games or whatever, and my wife's like, it has to be for the Wii U. Okay, Wii U, right? My mom knows nothing about. She bought it, but it was for the Wii, not Wii U. Which apparently, now you can't use the other controller. You have to go into the old, whatever the case. Yeah, that exactly is going to be an issue. But I honestly seeing Xbox One, given the price point at $500 as well, this is going to do terrible sales, similar to what the Wii U did for Nintendo. If you look at the sales of the Wii versus the Wii U.
To be fair though, about the price point, and I will never say this about a console again. There is good value in terms of what hardware you are getting for the price you are paying.
No, there isn't, because they're not going to be using that hardware because it's all developed for the Xbox One. So when you're sitting there looking at the price difference of $200 versus the $300 or $500, I'm sorry, that do the exact same fucking thing. One does it slightly faster and in 4K. Do you have a 4K TV? No? Then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I have 4K TV.
If you want to use it for building a server or something, instead of playing games, which would be more useful for a console, I guess, then it's a good value indeed.
Yeah.
But
I think
for
we're just
playing
descending
games,
into sort of like a circle jerk against consoles right now, which is
I
warranted.
Well, I'll say like this for an instance. If you don't own an Xbox One, sure,
Yeah.
fine. Get the
Yeah.
better one. There is
Oh, yeah,
zero
totally
reason
not
for
worth
you
the
to
upgrade.
spend that $500 if you already have an Xbox One. There's zero reason. I'd say
Especially
the
with,
same thing about the PlayStation 4 Pro. I own a PlayStation 4 Pro. I bought it because my PlayStation 4 was dying.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's really no reason to jump. This is definitely a you're
And when
already
they're
here.
trying to sell it, like I was saying, by the way, 4K VR, nobody cares about those things.
Right.
It's not 4K VR because the Xbox doesn't support VR, period.
Oh, it isn't? Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
Everything's blending together. Okay, the 4K though they were doing with Minecraft and all that. It's nobody has a 4K TV. No one's gonna buy a 4K TV anytime soon.
Well, 4K TVs are actually fairly common now. It's just
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're
You can
common.
buy a small 4K TV for $500.
Yeah, but who's
Yeah,
gonna
but
buy
I
a
don't think
small 4K TV? Like
Yeah.
you're right. You're looking at like a 32-inch TV or something like that for 4K for $500.
Admittedly, the only times I've seen statistics are like Steam users, so
Yeah.
not really console users. But
I'm
typically,
not-
we PC
I'm not
people are
saying-
the people going crazy,
Yeah, no.
and you're sitting at like the 1% or something.
Well, you're
Well,
still hitting the same thing.
Yeah,
there.
no. So it's one of those things too. When you're doing, you can't. It's the reason you can't really compare PC to console in general is because you're looking at a $500 console. It's like, oh man, that's a huge amount of money for a console. It isn't. It is. Like in all honesty, I just dropped $1,400 on a computer.
I'm actually hearing from chat that Walmart has a 55-inch 4K for $332.
Yeah.
So-
So like I said, I work at Best Buy. I look at them all the time. The 4K TVs, they're not that uncommon anymore.
I was actually wrong about the number of 4K users on Steam. Apparently, it is 0.22%.
Oh, well, there you go. All right.
So here's the other aspect of that, though. Sure, 4K TVs need to have 4K. You have to develop the game in 4K,
Yep.
or it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move off of the Xbox One /X/XX, whatever it is now, and move on to more Microsoft conference stuff. To the rising ire of
Hold on, I have to cover this because it wasn't in the notes. Who else here thinks Xbox doesn't understand what the fuck the word exclusive means?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We were
how
talking
did we
about
pass
this.
that up?
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna let this actually in here. I'm just gonna let you guys
Exclusive.
roll with this. Just go.
Like every single fucking time, exclusive.
How is that not in the notes?
Exclusive.
We suck.
It says it's launch exclusive.
Maybe
and
that's what
everybody
the X means in Xbox
Player
One
Unknown
X.
Battlegrounds. It's been on Steam for like I don't know. My friend Brad's been trying to
Well,
get me to play
even
this game with
then,
him for like 2
and the
months
reason-
now.
Right, and even then, I'm bringing this up because of the game we were about to talk about. It's like launch exclusive, and it's like, does anybody actually fucking understand that? That just means it's going to be out for like a month, and then everyone gets it. It has no fucking exclusives. Period.
So-
Every single
so-
fucking Xbox game goes to PC because
Which
they
is
hate their own console.
To be fair, I do think that pushing Windows as sort of a unified platform and having a
I'm not
Xbox-
against that.
yeah,
I'm not
I think
against that at
I
all.
think it might be a good move for them, even if
The issue is like if they're trying to beat in console sales right now, if you were to, and I had this online discussion and this person was kind of stupid, but I was like, trashing the Xbox One because one of my friends was like a fangirl and really wanted the One X, and I was like, why? You have an Xbox One? And she's like, it basically ended up with like, well, the reason is because I want to. I was like, all right, fine, it's your money, do what you want, I don't
I
care.
like to burn money too, apparently. So
And it's like whatever, yeah, have fun. And then it came down like I'm friends with her, and we were just joking around, and then someone else jumped in who I don't know, and it's like, why you got to be so sour and blah blah blah. It's like, I'm not sour, I'm just listing facts. The Xbox One doesn't have games. It's like, well, you can't just say it doesn't have games just because you don't care about it. I was like, It has 31 exclusive titles to date. The PS4 has over a fucking 100. Xbox One doesn't have any games.
And also, by the way, the exclusives it has usually aren't even good. Like, I'm not at any risk of buying a console, but every time I go, oh, man, I wish I had a console, it's for something like The Last of Us or Horizon Zero Dawn or what else is on PS4? What's the game with Nathan Drake? Why do I know the character's name?
Uncharted.
Yeah, Uncharted. Why do I know the character's name and not the game?
I know the character's name.
It's that kind of exact thing that when you go and like want to buy a console that you're going to look at. It's like, well, what games can I play? Oh, I can't play Uncharted. I can't play Horizon. Well, I've heard those are amazing. Why do I want an Xbox? It's the same thing. You're going to walk in there. It's like,
you can get.
What
Halo
does the Xbox
9,
One have? It has Halo.
Whatever Halo's on.
It has Halo.
6.7.
It has Halo. That's literally it. And then someone like argued Gears of War. It's like, no, that's on PC.
Right. Well, speaking of other Xbox exclusives, which are also on PC and PS4, we have BioWare's new IP, Anthem, because they couldn't get away from that Destiny money.
Yep.
So
yeah, that was.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that was this was me saying I want to take a dump on this game. Now I actually may end up playing this game, but I don't know. I watched it, the release trailer and all that, the presentation for this game, and it was some of the most generic nonsense I've seen in my entire life. I see people interested in this game, and I don't know why. It was just like BioWare shitting cliches at me. And then they started talking about how the game is going to play. Wait, one last thought. And it doesn't sound like a BioWare game. It does nothing that people who are fans of BioWare or their other games give a shit about. And all it does is try to copy like Destiny. It doesn't have the story or anything. Like I don't get it. How did this happen?
Aside from the extremely super cringeworthy fake actor voices that were going on there, that I wasn't sure if they were in game or.
Oh, those are always fantastic.
They were terrible because like half of them were like talking to NPCs and the other half were talking to like in the fourth person. I was like, what the fuck is going on? It's Destiny, Warframe, Anthem.
You know, and I see in chat, Drizenda, yeah. Only seen the trailer. It looks like a open world co-op shooter. I'd love to see it be good. That's right up my alley. Go Destiny, dude. It's actually funny because
get Destiny 2. It's on
Destiny
computer.
2. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. If this comes out and is actually good at what it's trying to do, even though the studio hasn't made a good game in a very long time and has never made a game like this before,
you don't like my facial animations?
My face is tired. Yeah, I mean, even though BioWare has been, and by the way, Mass Effect is my favorite game series of all time. I love KOTOR. I was a huge BioWare fan, but that studio's gone completely to shit. So, but I mean, if this does come out and it's good,
everyone who was originally in BioWare is gone. So
yeah, I know. I'm not pulling against this game. But like, I would love for this to be good and that I could play it because it. Like, if they actually pull it off, it could be interesting, even though the setting, again, looks extremely generic and boring. I could be wrong. So I want it to be good. I just don't expect it to be. And I'm kind of... I hate... I was making fun of this earlier. Like, every time something bad happens, like, gamers on the internet are like, slap in the face! Slap in the face! and I feel like BioWare trying to get the Destiny money is kind of that to BioWare fans, especially after... they knowingly released a terrible Mass Effect game, and we're just thinking internally, we'll fix it in the sequel. Well, and now they're not getting a sequel.
Right, and what's even funny to me is like they're trying to go after the Destiny money, but Destiny 2 is going to win that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, what is Destiny 2? Well, Destiny, we listened to your feedback, we got all rid of the bad shit, and here's a new game with all of the good shit, and it's on computer now.
Right. Mm-hmm. And actually, it's really funny you mentioned that because I was reading the article in Tech Radar, doing some research for this show, and their actual tagline for this was EA meets its destiny in Anthem. Because they go through the whole premises of this that you are, so far we know, is humanity's holed up in its last bastion, cut off from the outside world. Venturing out, it appears, requires a suit of armor that will help you fend off the wilds of this Pandora-esque planet. He's like, that is destiny. So when you look at these two things, the only thing I can think of is when I weigh Destiny and Anthem, you have EA, which brings it already down. BioWare, who's not done anything good in a very long time. And then Destiny has Nathan Fillion, so therefore it wins. Just done.
Yep, that is true. BioWare, again, also, I really can't get past the fact that they knowingly released a bad game.
So here's what I find funny, though, just kind of because we're talking about the companies themselves. Microsoft is now like trying to get all like buddy and everything with BioWare, who's trying to make a Destiny clone. When they fired Bungie because they wanted to make Destiny.
Yeah. That
like Bungie's like, hey, we're done with Halo because it's a trilogy. We're gonna make Destiny. Microsoft's like, no, you're gonna make more Halo, and they're like, no, we don't want to. The story's done. We finished it. We're gonna make a new IP. No, we want more Halo money. Well, no. Well, then you guys can fucking leave, but we're keeping Halo.
I mean, Microsoft is famous with, destroying studios or companies. I mean, I'm glad they just went their separate ways, or otherwise I don't think they could survive until Microsoft. Well, arguable, I guess.
Arguable.
They're both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word.
Yep. All right. So next up on this list is Nintendo came out, and probably the only thing that fits what I shouldn't say only thing that Nintendo did good or whatever, but it's the only thing that kind of fits what Dungeon Crawler Network actually would be interested in covering. Breath of the Wild announced
hasn't stopped us so far.
Well, everything else sort of at least fits with MMOs or something like that.
Skyrim.
That's
on
an
Switch.
RPG. Yeah. On Switch.
Skyrim.
Yes, but we already covered that in the Bethesda thing. Skyrim on Switch.
We covered that years ago.
Yeah.
Skyrim.
Yeah.
Aggelos, the fact that it's been
6-year-old game, release that. Get more fucking money.
Has not stopped Bethesda, so it should not stop us either.
It should not stop us.
What do you guys think of Skyrim? Have you played it before?
Skyrim on the Switch.
Are you going to buy it again?
Crazy game. It's called Skyrim.
To be fair, Skyrim on Switch actually makes sense to me because releasing the exact same game except on new platforms with no cross compatibility.
Yeah,
he froze. He broke.
Yeah, he broke.
Did I get my snark out? Because it was good snark.
No,
nope.
You froze.
It actually completely froze over.
My internet went to shit. Okay, I'm gonna give this one more shot.
All right.
Yeah, I think Skyrim on Switch actually makes a lot more sense than the others because re-releasing the exact same game on different platforms with no cross-compatibility is Nintendo's primary business model.
Indeed.
No, but it's not the exact same game. You can use those thingies.
The dual shot.
I actually have to take off early, but I'm going to leave a comment and a response to that one saying that Nintendo's press conference was immensely better than most of other people's because it had new IPs, had a callback with Metroid Prime motherfucking 4, and Mario Odyssey looks amazing. Like it's in the same category as the other Marios of Sunshine and 64. Their show, for the first time, because they haven't done an E3 for forever, looked fucking good.
Well, again, you said it's because they've not done an E3 in forever.
But that's what I'm saying, though. If you don't have something, don't
do it.
Bethesda.
We're looking at you, Bethesda.
By the way, even though I am one of the biggest PC Master Race guys around, I totally got on the Switch train because Nintendo is doing something besides just being a shitty PC with a lockdown economy, ecosystem for games, which is all consoles do. Is there nothing but a watered down PC where you have to buy games for full price, and and they lock you in with exclusives. They have no other reason for existing at all. So
all I have to say is my leaving note.
The Switch is the really cool thing.
And it works. You guys can keep going without me. That's fine.
Go ahead.
I gotta take off early. Monster Hunter for the PS4 is better than all of you.
Wow. Okay. Well, screw you too. All right. We're going to move on to the next thing because Thais is actually standing right here because she heard exactly what I was saying. At the Nintendo E3 conference, they announced The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has 2 new DLCs incoming.
Bye, people.
Bye, Broden.
Bye.
I got to go. Bye.
I'm going to have to adjust cameras now, but that's okay.
At least I gave you warning.
I know. Thanks. But unfortunately, I can't do anything until after you leave. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a freeze frame for the thumbnail real fast.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. Thanks, Brad. All right, now while I'm fixing, I will
Put
fix the
utility
cameras
fan
in
up.
1 second. But with that being said, that Breath of the Wild is releasing 2 new DLCs. The first of the 2 planned expansions for Nintendo's open world game is called Master Trials. Adds a new hard mode difficulty setting, new armor, mask, inspired by past Zelda games. If you hear that squeeing over there, and a new travel medallion that lets players set their own fast travel points. The meat of Master Trials is a challenging Trial of the Sword mode that tests your mettle against increasingly tougher enemies with the promise of permanent upgrades to the player's Master Sword should they prove victorious. Dace, come here.
I'm not. My hair's not
Done.
done.
Whatever. I mean, put a hat on. You got a hat right over there.
Well, I look really bad. Just hi.
All right, come here.
Hey,
Doesn't
Speaking to
even
the
look
mic.
bad.
What am I saying?
Master Trials.
Considering the game already has a very wide margin of difficulty, it's either really, really difficult or it's easy
She said
but
fine.
fun. Easy. It's incredibly fun. It's an amazing game. Putting this trial into the game is definitely something that other Zeldas have already done, and have made it extremely difficult. So adding the trials into Breath of the Wild is going to be something that's I can't even fathom how difficult it could possibly be, especially if they add things like the Dark Nut. I think it's the Dark Nut. I think that's the monster's name, where you have to anticipate and really strategize and really think about how you're going to attack them, and you put multiple of those enemies on one level. Oh, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, okay. Well,
I really need to play Breath of the Wild.
It's an amazing game.
and as
I'm saving it for a trip I've got coming up where I'm going to be away from my PC for 3 weeks.
I love it. I bought the Switch just so I could get this Zelda game. I don't know if I'll ever have to buy another game because I've been playing this one for just hours and hours on end, nonstop.
I know I've had to keep begging her, going, "Hey, do you want to play something?" No, I'm playing Zelda.
Sorry, I'm busy.
Yeah,
I think Switch also caters really well to couch co-op things with like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. When that comes out, things like that other consoles just don't do. So it's like a nice fun party game.
that is the what makes Nintendo competitive in the console wars is the fact that they do party games better than any other console. Like that is something you play with family, that you play when you have a drinking party and everyone's like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" Well, let's break out the Nintendo system. We'll play, I don't know, some random whatever game that, is whatever you want to call it. There, cameras are finally fixed. All right.
I mean, Nintendo, in my opinion, is the only proper console because Xbox and PlayStation is just PC in a box with exclusives. That's the whole thing. Nintendo does things differently. It gives you a different way to play, and it has very different kinds of games, which I hate. I don't like Nintendo games, but they are doing things differently, and I see it. Sorry about that.
I don't like what they do, but
I like what they do,
But I
like
see
their
their
games.
reason for existing.
yeah, I see that too.
Yeah, I got the Switch. I really like what happened for me was, you saw these ads for the Switch where people are like taking it places and playing it together in public, and we were all like, that's a little bullshit. No one's ever gonna do that. And then I'm freezing again, aren't I?
No, a little bit.
No, I'm good. But then what got me was my friend brought his to a bar where we were waiting for a local Timbers game, the soccer team, to start. And while he was doing, we were all sitting there Mario Karting with the controllers. I was like, hey, this is actually really cool. And I knew how it worked, and it was like a couple weeks, and then I had my own.
I actually asked me, so are you ever going to take it anywhere? Sorry, I'm trying. Stay over there. He asked me, are you ever going to take it anywhere? And I remember saying, why? It's a console. Why would I ever want to? Where would I take it? And then I think that weekend we went over his grandmother's, and I'm like, you know what? I'm addicted to the Zelda game. I'm going to bring my Switch with me. So now I take it pretty much if I leave the house, my Switch is with me constantly so I can play Breath of the Wild. And I've been documenting my journey through Snapchat. I have about 180 snaps of the different things that I've done. Faces, such silly faces and accomplishments and achievements. So I'm really enjoying it.
All right, so hold your silly thing because we're going to say the second thing here so we can continue this. So the second DLC is called Champions Ballad, and apparently this is going to center around the 4 other champions in the game. Who are they?
Urbosa, Mifa, Daruk, and Revali.
So tell us a
Urbosa
little bit
sounds
about
dank.
that. I don't...
All right, the champions in the game are the ones that were riding the divine beasts. You ride the divine beasts into battle to defeat Ganon. Well, unfortunately, they died before they got that opportunity because Ganon was just too powerful. Oh, you find that out really early. Whoops, sorry guys. So Urbosa is for. Now that I'm here, I won't be able to think of any of the names.
Okay, but
the Gerudo. There we go. And then Mifa is for the Zora, Daruk is for the Gorons, and Revali is for, I don't know, the flying people. I haven't gotten there yet. The Rito. There we go. So finding out more of their story, what exactly happened, is going to be just so amazing because there's so much that they left out without this DLC, and it's just, I love Breath of the Wild.
There you go. Well, there you go. There's 2 new DLCs coming for Breath of the Wild. So the fact that you just happened to hop down here, so I pulled her on because she's a Breath of the Wild nut, that's why she's here.
I'm a Nintendo fangirl.
Yeah, indeed. So that was kind of the 2 big things that we really wanted to talk about from Nintendo. We're going to quickly move on to Sony's press conference now. Thank you,
Can we-
Thieves.
You're welcome.
Can we talk about what's the name of Mario meets XCOM and Rabbids?
Rabbids.
I don't know.
Wait. Okay. I'll find it in a second. I had it, but the Rabbids invade the Mushroom Kingdom for XCOM. Wait. Okay. I found the title, but I couldn't find the name. I don't know. And I think Isari is gone.
No, he's here.
Is here?
Yeah, my computer's actually it's just Skype is being weird.
When is Skype not being weird?
It just says Rabbids and Mario Kingdom Battle or something like that.
Okay. All right.
But I think that's Ubisoft, not Sony.
It might. Well, no. Anyway, all right. Let's continue on with this one because we got a couple other things that we want to hit before the end of the show, and we're nearing that point now. So Sony's conference, the 2 things that we pulled out here. One that I'm super excited about is new God of War coming out soon. All right. I think did they do a release date on this thing? This is God of War 4, and it actually does make me want to get a PS4 only for the fact that I love the original series, and this one's Viking. So I feel like I need to have this. So they showed 10 minutes of gameplay footage from God of War.
Which
4.
actually looked kind of fun, which is unusual for the God of War games since those are basically glorified QuickTime events.
The later ones had QuickTime events, but it was actually more of a puzzle type game.
Yeah, I'm just making
Okay. All right. But yeah, we got a Viking Kratos, and that is really freaking awesome. So I'm excited about it. I just wanted to say it because they're looking at late 2017, early 2018 seems to be the safe bet. But that's what I really want to see because I freaking love those series. I played them years ago, obviously, but that was something cool. Now, the other thing that was brought up from the Sony conference, which I wanted to ask about because it's kind of weird, at least from my point of view, when Destiny 2 comes out, obviously it's releasing for PC as well. But it's also releasing on the PlayStation 4, and I don't know if it's releasing on Xbox. I think it is. But there's going to be exclusives for the PS4, all right? Mm-hmm. We're used to exclusive stuff, right? But normally we're kind of used to it in terms of, maybe a few skins or whatever the case may be. But the thing that's kind of weird that I'm not heard of is other than the skins, you get a different kind of weapon pack or whatever the case may be, an exclusive strike, again, whatever that is, a ship, a weapon, and then PvP maps? Like, they're going to have completely different PvP maps added? That seems weird.
I think it's just one map, but I might be remembering it wrong.
Okay.
Like, I remember a different rifle, a different like a map, a PvP map, but I don't think it's maps. I'm looking at the article that's in the link, but
Yeah, they say maps on
It's a
here,
long
but
one.
I don't really know whether or not that is the case.
it
But
could,
even-
it could be maps too. I don't know. It was late when I was watching it, so
right. I could see the Xbox, or not Xbox, the skins being something. Yeah, whatever. You know, what even different weapons and stuff that probably don't matter because stat wise they're probably the same as everything else. It's just a unique look. But the fact that they'll have like essentially a different PvP map kind of makes me go, you know, like that's
Yeah.
content that you're exclusively giving to one platform over the others, which also then makes me go that this isn't going to be a cross-platform game, which I don't know if we ever really thought it was going to be, but I thought it might have the potential for that. But if you're going to have a map that only PS4 has, you're not going to see any sort of cross-platform between the consoles and the PC version.
if I was playing on a console, I wouldn't want a cross-platform shooter with PC anyway. Like
Well,
mouse precision, I don't know. Then again, I never played a shooter on consoles, so I don't know. But still, how do you compete with a mouse and keyboard with a controller in a shooter?
Auto aim.
At least.
Auto aim.
Well, as a PC player, I wouldn't want my opponents to have auto aim. So I still wouldn't want a cross-platform shooter. Either
PvE
way,
anyway, but isn't Destiny mostly PvE?
I don't know. I don't know
could be wrong.
about
I don't-
Destiny much.
I don't really know.
I thought it was PvP. Like,
I think it's mostly
Well, yeah, we are
PvP.
talking about PvP maps, but
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. I don't know. That is pretty messed up.
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
honest.
skins are
As
something
far
that
as-
are unique. Like, oh, you get a unique skin that has Xbox One XXXXX on it, or whatever, or PS4 or PC Master Race, whatever. Like, whatever. It's a reskin.
I mean, moving from making the whole game exclusive to just making one map or a couple maps exclusive, that's still a step forward. So,
I guess you
As
I
long
guess
as-
you could choose to see it that way, but I don't know. Locking away parts of a game like that is actually it seems a little bit worse to me.
You're right.
everything about this E3 was a little bit
Worse.
worse. So
Except for Devolver's conference.
Yeah, well. You know, it's actually...
And, by the way, for the people who may not have seen this, go watch Devolver's E3 presser for this year. It was not serious. Let's put it that way. I think their headline was "The Unethical Business Practices of Tomorrow Today," and the whole thing was amazing and well worth your time.
It was probably the only interesting thing out of E3. But
They put E3 in my book.
it's actually interesting because I actually was listening to some other people talk, and the conversation came up now that E3 isn't, you know, obviously what it was, because I'm thinking that a lot of the big industries that used to come here are now just saying, screw E3, let's just hold our own conference, like our own thing. Like Nintendo is doing its own thing. Like they showed up this year for whatever reason, but they also have their own Nintendo conference. Blizzard has their own thing with BlizzCon. I mean, and a lot of other companies are now doing similar things where they're just like, you know what? If we're going to pay all this money anyway, why don't we just do our own thing where we're not competing against anyone else and have our own conference?
And E3 is very much and pretty much always has been the worst gaming conference. It's a giant corporate marketing circle jerk that just never really gave a shit about gamers themselves. Like they just started letting them in this year, which I'm sure only made it worse. But you know, the presentation wise, but like the PAX Expos, so much better.
Well, that's because PAX started that way. Like, if you know anything about the history of E3, it didn't even actually technically start out as a gaming conference. It was electronic arts, or it was actually something else where it was just any kind of interesting electronic equipment kind of thing. But a lot of the things at that time started becoming gaming focused, and then they're like, you know, we're just going to keep it this way. And that's when it became E3. But originally it just started out as an electronics expo. So like the first ones you went to, it's like, look at this hybrid calculator thing, you know, whatever the case may be. So it didn't actually even start out as gaming as to what it morphed into be. But
yeah, I don't know. I found the whole thing sort of just deeply embarrassing to anybody that's sort of associated with the industry at all. I know the like the graphic T-shirts that they were selling were getting passed along with. They were just so cringy and embarrassing. And EA's conference with their creator cave and the YouTubers and all the presentations with the fake YouTubers. And everybody had a graphic tee and a blazer on, which is why I'm wearing mine today.
I would have if I actually could still fit into my blazer.
it was just so bad. It was just very, very, very embarrassing, I think, for everybody.
Yeah. I lost it at how Battlefield 1 streamers kept saying that the community of Battlefield 1 was so family-like and, stuff like that. I mean, it's Battlefield 1. I didn't play Battlefield 1 except for a few hours, but I played Battlefield 4, and there isn't a community there. Like, there isn't a proper community in a shooter. People don't talk. People don't communicate. The most community-like thing you'll be hearing is that someone is swearing at you because you fucked up.
Yeah.
I do think that in the context of content creators, you can often have a feeling of community with other content creators.
Mm-hmm. Like what a lot of us do.
You're much more available in a persistent way than people are in game. So, in all fairness to the creator cave person, that's probably what he meant. But I don't know that that's necessarily
that is true.
that
But
much
the
a part of the game.
problem was all of them are saying that. So basically, like it was, EA just got up to them. Okay, say this.
This
Our
is what
community
you
is
have
great.
to say.
Yeah, this is it
Very
was so
presidential of EA.
scripted. Yeah.
Right.
The entire EA conference was entirely scripted, and it felt bad. At least they had a conference, unlike Bethesda. So.
True.
Yeah, the YouTuber and the fake YouTuber thing was just so not good.
Mm-hmm.
From what I hear, this next group of people actually did somewhat fairly decent, and that's Ubisoft. And the one thing that we wanted to mention from this was Assassin's Creed Origins comes out on October 27th, according to them. Now, we had talked about Assassin's Creed before. Like, they kind of went RPG with this one compared to the others.
My favorite part of this is that in the Dungeon Crawler Network Discord, we have someone who at one point said that their favorite RPG was Assassin's Creed months and months ago. And this has been just a hilarious running joke for like months now, where we're like, oh yeah, just randomly someone's like, yeah, my favorite RTS was Plants vs Zombies or something, like just completely off. Yeah, my favorite RPG, oh yeah, it was Minesweeper. And then they went and made it an RPG.
Yep.
They ruined my perfectly good joke. Is there nothing Ubisoft cannot get wrong?
Yeah, that is interesting that they are now adding RPG elements to it. Now, see, I really like Assassin's
them.
Creed.
It looks good though, actually. They for those who don't know, they've been like Ubisoft does, just rehashing this game and releasing the same one with a few different textures for like 8 years now. It feels like, and they finally got wind of their own bullshit or something, where they're like, why don't we take a little bit longer on this game and actually do something different? And they did, and it looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
And this might be the only Assassin's Creed game I actually will ever play, because I don't like the gameplay of the previous ones, but this one, I might give it a chance. I don't know.
I won't. I don't play Ubisoft games. But
fair enough.
That's like the only company that I actually will say that with. Maybe they'll win me back eventually, but it ain't happening for Assassin's Creed.
I just like this one line from chat. I've had viewers come in and say their favorite MMO was Destiny. You can't make this up. Like, that's just funny to me. My favorite MMO is Destiny. Really? Like, you do realize it's not an MMO, right? Like, no? Okay. All right, so the final thing we got to cover yet from this is we got to see a Sea of Thieves trailer, and I know, Asari, you've been following this one. And your pun of seems legit in chat or in our notes was rather funny.
Sea of Thieves was the only interesting thing at E3 this year. Okay, that's not true. But I don't know that they showed me anything new, but they put out a new trailer with fake YouTubers, and it looked cool. I
The
don't know.
commentator of Sea of Thieves was awesome. That whoever was commentating that trailer,
That's
he
true.
was awesome.
He was my favorite fake YouTuber.
Yeah.
There were a couple cringy parts, but for the most part, it was pretty sweet.
I mean, in his part, it was obvious that he was fake. Like he wasn't trying not to be fake. He was actually
true.
being
That's true.
fake.
It
So
wasn't
it was
like
good.
it wasn't like, come on, boys, let's get to the loot and bring it back to our base. Make radio noises. But Sea of Thieves looks really interesting to me. I have been in love with boat gameplay ever since Arcade. I think there's something intrinsically fun about any time you get players on sort of, this is going to get technical where it doesn't need to, but like the same plane where one person's controlling the movement, everybody moves together, be it, and you're sort of playing together in that capacity, be it your group starfighters in a game like Star Citizen or Star Wars Galaxies, or be it a Warthog in Halo, any of those vehicles. It's really fun to just get together and you feel like you're working together in a way that you don't feel quite the same way as if it's like your dungeon group or your Diablo group or something like that, because everybody's together, everybody's doing their part, and I love that. So ships and arcades were just incredibly fun, and when I look at Sea of Thieves just having that same sort of gameplay with sort of an exploration sandboxy thing, a cute art style, I don't know, it looks really, really fun to me. They're saying they're not an MMO. I'm inclined to take them at their word, but they look like a really fun, like four player co-op, hop in, sail the seas, try not to get murdered by other people type experience, and I'll definitely play that one when it comes out.
My only problem is go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll seg off when I'm done.
I really loved the gameplay idea, but the problem is I'm not a fan of cartoonish graphics, so that's my problem. Like if it had the graphics of Skull and Bones with Sea of Thieves trailer gameplay, that would be a great game. But
it's a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, Skull and Bones, it looks great, but I don't like the whole control just one ship idea. I much prefer the now Sea of Thieves and Black Wake gameplay style. Like you are 5 people controlling ship, like some of them use the cannons, etc. Yeah. But yeah, I mean the gameplay is awesome. The graphics, not for me. I mean it's beautifully made, but it's just not for me. So
yeah. Right. For those of you that don't know, Skull and Bones is Ubisoft's attempt to get in on that Sea of Thieves hype. That's probably not true, but basically they're just recycling the Black Flag assets from Assassin's Creed Black Flag to make a game that's just that. And by all reports from people who actually play Ubisoft games, that was a really fun game with that naval thing. So I don't blame them. They, maybe one of the few people that say they're listening to their community and actually did it on that front. But I don't know. Maybe they'll be fun. I like that all these games are coming out because it's an interesting space for games to exist in.
So you're saying
they did specifically say that we definitely learned from our past studies, but this isn't just Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. You're saying what they did was they took Black Flag, which was terrible, and said, okay, we're just take out all the Assassin's Creed stuff and just give you the boats, which was the one fun part of the game.
I mean, they did actually say that themselves. Like, they did say our team at, I think, Singapore, inspired from one of our most successful games and made this. And at that point, everyone realized it was like Black Flag.
It's Black Flag without the assassin part.
I mean, it's just visually almost the same style, too. It's probably the same engine.
And I see Chad is actually even saying that Black Flag was fun for the ships. If you could make a game where you take that and maybe make it more in depth, it would be enjoyable.
That's almost my takeaway from Arcade, by the way, is the ships were the most fun part of that. Even when you were just getting some friends on the ships and exploring. I remember the first couple of times we were sailing around the continent looking for pirates and hoping none would find us. It was really fun, even when we weren't really doing anything with it. So, I'm excited to see some potential boat gameplay coming up. And I think more MMOs like Ashes of Creation should continue going with the ship route because it's awesome.
Well, I know that was something that we were all excited about with Ashes of Creation
too.
Yeah, maybe we'll have multiplayer boats.
land boats. In Arcade, you could actually take the harpoon boat and like harpoon onto the land and winch it. So you could sort of do land boat warfare there, but that's not really fast paced. Except for the time I managed to harpoon it. Sorry, Arcade had like the whole physics thing. So I once managed, they eventually made it so you could do this, to harpoon the airship that was just like the Zeppelins and WoW, and winch myself up into the air. And then we traveled over the continent on this boat just hanging from an airship.
Wow.
Yeah, the game, it was a really good game before they fucked it all up.
Well, I think it was messed up from the start, but that's beside the point. All right, that actually ends our E3 coverage that we had for this year, broadly. Yeah.
Week.
Yeah, it was things that was related to DCN. So I definitely want to thank.
One more though.
What?
Chat just mentioned something.
What?
We forgot there was one piece of MMO news that we actually should have covered.
What was that?
Black Desert is going to Xbox One.
Does that really matter?
It'll probably be really good for the game. I mean, it is basically a solo game anyway that has like a control scheme that goes well with that. I don't know. I think the game's doing good. I don't know why.
BDO on console. Well, I don't know. It's.
I am curious how their complete disaster fuck of a UI is going to work on console, because I mean it's worse than Eve.
I have no idea. It is no. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's. I'm trying to think of a way. Now, obviously, for anyone who's watching, I have an extreme bias against any type of Korean MMO. I do. I just have an extreme bias. So take that with a grain of salt. So anything I'm going to say, that I'm already predisposed to hating it just because it's Korean and I can't stand Korean MMOs. I have no idea why Black Desert is what it is, other than the fact that it is frickin' Dynasty Warriors online, essentially. That is all it is. And it is the most monotonous thing. It's already failed in Korea, and I really hope these people realize. You do realize, like, there's no development being done on this game, right? Every update that you're getting was stuff that was already developed in Korea for the Korean version, and that once they hit the point where the Korean version stopped is where this game is going to stop. I don't know how long it went over in Korea. It was like 3 years or something like that. But that's effectively what you're going to see out of Black Desert. You're eventually going to hit a point where you're going to finally catch up to all the Korean stuff that was already out. And no one's working on it anymore because it's a piece of crap.
Yeah,
I never played,
someone
so
in the
I don't have any comments.
chat is saying that that's not true, and I'm not. That doesn't. I feel like I've heard about patches being rolled out on the Korean server somewhat recently.
Let me find it. I'm actually going to pull it up.
But
now.
Okay, you pull it up. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to get into the game because I wasn't intending to play it for a long time, as we say in my Discord about someone else. I went into the game with hate in my heart. But I wanted to get in and see some of the systems that people said were enjoyed that were kind of unique. One of them was the trade system, even though again I knew I would hate it because it's a single player trade system in an MMO. Are you kidding me? But I could not do it. I went in and there's like people in booty shorts and fish hats running around.
Yeah.
I hated the auto run system where you just press a keybind and it runs you to your quest objectives. Like, give me a break.
What?
I thought the combat was kind of fun. The
For
graphics,
about 10
the
seconds.
graphics were not as good as they had been sold as being.
Mhm.
I didn't realize the pop-in hadn't been fixed yet, which is pretty crazy. I don't know. Granted, I don't like Eastern MMOs. Oh, the quests, like the dialogue, and oh man, it was awful. It was so awful. It was like it hadn't been vetted. People were like repeating stuff. Some of it was incoherent. I don't know. I could not find, besides that the combat was kind of fun, I had a really, really hard time finding any virtue in it. And I want to go back maybe and give it another shot just to give it a fair shake. But
I had the same issue with with
I don't get it.
Arcade
I'm
because-
glad some people out there have fun with it, but I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Arcade I like a lot, other than the shit.
I can't. The thing that really annoys me about a lot of these Korean MMOs it's the whole mentality. They are designed to take money away from you because that's how they're designed over in Korea. Everything's free to play over Korea because they realize you're not going to have a lot of time with these games, like because they're turning them out so fast. The idea is to get as much money as they can as quickly as they can before no one plays their game anymore. Now,
Shovelware.
Yeah. So, but all I see with all these these localizations is this half-assed attempt to rake in money because, like, even if you look at frickin' the Arcade, and Arcade is the one I was thinking of most recently. If you're playing the game, the localization, all the NPCs still speak freaking Korean. Like, the main quests were but go talk to anyone. You know how, like, it's just like a one line of, hey, take a look at my wares. But it's a freaking Korean. They didn't even take the time to take out the 30 lines of dialogue of, take a look at my wares, and record it with some random B-list voice actor with English or anything. They just left the Korean dialogue in. So you have your American dialogue, I say American English dialogue, and it's great. Blah, 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 blah. Well, I shouldn't say it's great. It's crap because the translation for a 1-to-1 just makes it sound just weird. And then,
to be honest, I'm not that worried about that in Arcade, which is, again, I know I'm kind of defending it right now, but it is a game that was totally, totally ruined by mismanagement, bad monetization practices. Like, I'm very salty about this game, but it's a sandbox game. Like, who gives a shit? Like, the quests, that would be budget mismanagement, in my opinion, to revoice it, because that's very expensive. It doesn't impact the game experience really at all.
Is it really
I think
that
BO is a
expensive
tremendous
to
waste
pay
of money.
10 people to record 5 lines that are repeated? Look at ESO. They have the same 5 lines repeated by, like, the same 3 voice actors for every character in the game.
Yeah, but budget was a huge chunk of ESO's development.
This is true.
I think it had a tremendous negative effect on things like bugs. Actually,
well, that's because a lot of their the voice actors for the
Craglore
main...
not being included with launch.
Yeah.
So they had no trials. PvP had a lot of unfinished. Like, Cyrodiil felt very unfinished at launch. Still does.
But that was because of their A-list actors that they brought in for the main story. Yeah. If you look at actual voice acting that's done just like from standard voice actors, I mean, it's expensive, but it's not much.
Forever.
I
mean, it's not all voice actors, but I think too much of the budget was put towards, like, non-MMO systems.
Yeah, no, it definitely. They wanted to make Skyrim with friends.
Yeah. But I mean, Arcade is, I don't know, it's one of the only Korean MMOs where I'll say this actually had good game systems in it. And it wasn't about questing. It was
It had great game systems. I just am annoyed at the fact that they went half-assed with the localization in order just to make a buck.
That never even occurred to me.
Oh, that's all it ever is.
While I was playing it, it didn't jump out.
Oh man, that's the first thing that hit me in the face. I'm just like, is this even done? It reminded me of, like, what I saw from, again, I didn't play any of it, but Revelation Online, when they were doing their alpha, and they're like 90% of the game's not even translated. Like, they have 3 quests done, and that's all I see is the fact that they just don't translate any of the stuff because they're like, oh, you don't need to worry about that.
I have only played 3 of the sort of eastern ports, though, so I'm not maybe as annoyed by the stuff as you are. I played Ion, which is really before they, like, that was maybe the vanguard of the shitty eastern ports, and then Arcade, and then BDO for like 2 hours when I got it for like $6 or something.
I wouldn't even have bought it if it was. Yeah, I have it too, but actually, it wasn't even. I didn't even buy it. Someone from DCN bought it and said you should try this, and they bought it when it was $5. So I played it, but yeah, no, it is what it is. So I know we kind of got off on a rant here, but
yeah, I know. We talked about MMOs for a few minutes. Hooray!
Yeah. In general, it's just I have an insane dislike of Korean MMOs, and the other issue is the reason why I hate them so much is because Western developers go, it's cheaper if we just localize the Korean crap that's being made out. We make more money because it's free to play, and we'll just milk their monetization policies, and then we don't see any Western MMOs being made anymore because it's too expensive for that, so it's just cheaper for me to go out to Pearl Abyss or frickin' my.com or whatever it is and go, hey, what was the latest thing you released like last month? Okay, yeah, let's get some people in there to translate it into English, and then we'll be fine.
Western MMOs just need to get off the theme park kick, and I'm not saying that because I don't think MMOs need to be theme parks, but I'm fine with theme park MMOs existing, but the problem is there's all this one-upmanship with non-core MMO features, like I was saying, like, oh, we're gonna have voice acting when SWTOR came out, and now it's like, oh, and Quest with Story. I think Age of Conan was like, we're gonna have Quest with Story, and that was not really true. And then,
the first 30 minutes of their intro island was all story.
Fully voiced now, and then ESO is like, we've got A-list fully voice actors, and meanwhile the things that people actually play MMOs to experience are like becoming smaller and smaller budget lines. So like you don't need a huge $200 million budget to make a good MMO. It's just they're like shoveling like mountains of single player bullshit into the MMOs, and that's the only reason they're so expensive and risky to begin with. Just make a good MMO.
Right. And Driz, and I see someone in chat saying that you love to show some video. Yeah, there are, and the thing is, with these Korean MMOs, because they push out so many of them, and they have to differentiate themselves in the free-to-play market that's over there, they do add interesting systems, like the ship system in Arcade. I can't deny that. That's freaking awesome.
Although I will say life skills, what he's describing as being better than most MMOs, aren't the life skills all tied into the single player stuff that doesn't affect the MMO at all?
No,
I'm not. I could be wrong.
I don't know the answer to that. So
if you tell me the answer to that, I will say it for the recording. But like, yeah, when I look at things like their trade system and their crafting system, it's all single player. You can't really say it's better than MMO systems because it's
no. They add one or two revolutionary things are really interesting, and then they hide everything else. Again, You can't have a lot of MMO systems in these games because MMO systems, by their very nature, take time to master and use, and they don't have time for these games. These games' life expectancy in Korea is not that long. If they get a year out of one of these titles, they're rolling in it.
So he is saying that my assumptions are not correct necessarily. That trade is single player, but everything you craft is used on the player market, which I don't understand because I don't know how there's a player market when trade is single player. Like, there's no player to player trading in the game.
Trading is a life skill where you buy items from NPCs and sell them to further NPCs. As you level up trading, you gain access to better NPC items and get more money for it. So it's essentially buying wood from Trader A, taking it to Trader B, and making a profit on it.
Well, no, it is actually a really in-depth system that I think is pretty cool. It's just not an MMO system.
Right. And Arkhaniir, you are an MMO player because you're joining me in Ashes, just like you did in ESO.
Well, I'm playing just one MMO right now, and that is Elder Scrolls Online, and that's because we are playing it as Dungeon Crawler Network. Yeah. Like, if we stop playing, like Dungeon Crawler Network stopped playing Elder Scrolls Online, I wouldn't play it. I don't care. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a good game, fun, but nah.
Yeah. Ark just follows me around.
He's clarifying there's no player-to-player trading in that you can't trade in person, which is apparently an anti-gold farmer mechanism, even though I think gold farmers usually don't do it that way anyway. But there is an auction house, which is what the player market is. So I don't know. Everybody can feel free to shit on us for talking crap about BDO when we only played it for a couple hours because it's trash.
Yeah, the fact that I couldn't even get
I'm not pretending I'm an expert in the game. That's why I was really straight up with that at the beginning, is that I tried to get into it and it didn't hook me. I was very lonely. The players that I did see running around were all very gauche. I don't know, and it's a super repetitive even early on.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of felt like that. I'm like, when I played the combat of it.
But I'm sure that there's something that a lot of people in there are enjoying because they are, because the game is doing well. It's just not for me, and it seems like a very lonely sort of single player in a socially saturated environment play experience. I guess that's my takeaway from it.
Man, I like how he's saying how that's how Gold Farm.
And he just said he really enjoyed our stream. He doesn't want to come off as a twat. You're not coming off as a twat. We're the people here shitting on a game that we barely played. So don't.
No, you're actually quite rational compared to us.
I'm very self-aware of this, and I appreciate your feedback so that I could have someone sort of live correcting me here.
Yeah, no, it works. No, absolutely it works. Absolutely. And like I said, for me, a lot of my bias just comes from the fact that I don't like Korean MMOs. I like some of their systems, really cool, but I wish it was done on a Western audience, by a Western developer, which is one of the reasons why we have a show called From the Ashes, which is our Ashes of Creation show, because it's a Western developer doing a lot of things that a lot of these Eastern developers were doing, hopefully. So, that's something
back to
we're
life
excited
skills, about. By the way, that was the reason I jumped into BDO, was to see them and to try to experience them a little. But it was hard to get past a lot of the stuff. And trade being a single player economy thing for me, when I've been so into Star Wars Galaxies and even things like that, it was a big ask.
And I see in chat, and I know this is not quite related, but it's easier in typing. Our From the Ashes show is not normally recorded live, but you can find it on our YouTube, youtube.com/Dungeon Crawler Network. All 6 episodes, with the 7th episode coming up on Friday, because we're a weekly podcast, but we generally don't record it live. Sometimes we do if we do a community segment, but otherwise it's not live.
Yeah, there we'll be talking about games we actually know things about.
Yeah. But yeah, we're a weekly podcast all about Ashes of Creation. You can check out all of our stuff there. I mean, if you like also iTunes or Google Play, the audio version is available there as well. So, that's what we do. All right. I think we've hit the end of our show, guys. Even though
for a while there.
We talked about BDO being moved to consoles.
We don't need to start again.
Then we're all over. But yes, definitely want to thank Asari. Thank you for coming out, and Arkhaniir as well. Thank you for coming out and talking E3 with us. Before we go, Asari, where can everyone find you and what you do?
Okay, everybody can find me, all of my stuff, centrally at errantpenman.com, ERRANTPENMAN.com, or on Twitter, if you like Twitter, at /Ethan McPhee, ETHANMACFIE. Those are the main places. I write for places like MMORPG.com, Gamesbase.com, MMOGames.com, probably some other places. I have some fan site involvement, and I'm doing a lot of stuff on YouTube these days. I don't know when that started or why, but you can find that at youtube.com/C/Isarii, ISARII. And I do have, since Drizzt asks, God, I just butchered that name. I do have Twitch as well, /Isarii. I just started using Restream this week. I don't stream very often, but I am now set up on the 3 major platforms. If you can, in fact, call Mixer. Is that what Beam is called now?
Yeah.
I don't think you can, but
I don't know.
Why not? Why not?
Indeed. And Arkhaniir, where can people find you, buddy?
You can find me mainly on Twitter as Arkhaniir. That's at Arkhaniir. You can also find me on Tales of Tamriel podcast of Dungeon Crawler Network. That's where I co-host mainly. This was just a one-time only appearance due to me having no relation to MMORPGs, so I don't have any relations to Dungeon Crawlers and podcast in general. If you want to contact me, best way would be sending an email to arkhaniir@gmail.com or through Twitter, but the character limitations might be a problem. I have Twitch, that is twitch.tv/Arkhaniir, but I very rarely stream, so don't count on that. I also have a YouTube that I sometimes share videos from our Wings of Fate events and stuff like that in Elder Scrolls Online. I think it had a custom URL, but I don't remember it. I use it so rarely that I don't remember it. If you type Arkhaniir at YouTube, it should come up.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right. And obviously, you can find me on Twitter at Aggelos, AGGELOS_WOF. You can find everything that we do over here at the Dungeon Crawler Network over on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Dungeon Crawler Network, twitch.com/Dungeon Crawler Network, facebook.com. You get where I'm going here. Pretty much everywhere you find Dungeon Crawler Network. We do multiple shows. This is our general MMO gaming and news show. This is recorded every 2 weeks, and this is recorded live. Almost all of our shows are recorded live with the exception of our From the Ashes show. We also do Tales of Tamriel every week. It's our Elder Scrolls Online where Arkhaniir comes from. Arkhaniir, yeah. He's my co-host over there. And obviously, we have some other shows. Saga Vesemia stream, Tavern Talk, which we stream quarterly whenever they have updates on their individual MMO. And we have our weekly Ashes of Creation show From the Ashes, which you can see over on YouTube. Everything is also available via iTunes, Google Play, or however you get RSS feeds if you prefer just to listen to audio versions. Thank you so much.
Our self-promotion segments are getting way too long.
I know. I know. Yeah. I still don't think I beat yours yet, so we're getting there. Maybe. You can check out all that stuff wherever I had. In the description of this, you'll have all the links as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we will be back with another Dungeon Crawlers in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. We'll see you later, everybody.